Hello again, everyone. Will Sawyer here, and this time we're going to talk about the influence of the Southern Baptists in American history, and we're going to talk about the widespread influence they had in America. So first, a little overview about what we're going to discuss. We're just briefly going to go into some general history of the Southern Baptists and how they came to be in existence. And then we're going to talk about just a few of the reform efforts that they were able to enact and the legacy that they have even to this present day. So when we think about the Southern Baptists, we have to go back to the original and see where they came from and how they got here. So they actually arrived in America as a spin-off organization out of the English Reformation period. This was in the early to mid 1600s when the Church of England was becoming more and more powerful. The Baptists were feeling more and more pressure and dissent. So many of them, including Roger Sherman, who we've read about before, moved and migrated to America in search of religious liberty. When they got here, unfortunately, they did not find it. They settled oftentimes in Puritan-dominated areas, and as we know, especially from our some of our discussions last time, the Puritans were not known for being the most open-minded kind of people. They were very prim and proper. It was their way or the highway. This was the way that society was to believe and worship, and there was not much room for anything outside of that. So the Baptists did not find much solace there. But they eventually continued to coalesce and form together, and this lasted up until the mid 1800s. And it was in 1845 that what we know today as the Southern Baptists split away from the regular Baptists. And this arose over a couple of issues, missionary work and how to split up the funds. That was one issue. But the biggest issue was the issue of slavery. Obviously, a lot of the Northern Baptists were abolitionists. They were not in favor of slavery, but a lot of the Southern Baptists were in favor of slavery. They were proponents of it because a lot of them were plantation owners. Many of them owned slaves. Their livelihood depended on slavery, and that was not something that they would be able to support as far as giving that up. So that split happened in 1845, and we get the Southern Baptists that we know today. So now on to some of their reform efforts and the legacy that they're known for. So after the Civil War had concluded, a lot of the community leaders in a lot of these communities that the Southern Baptists settled in began to join the church. And as a result, that influence started to spread beyond the borders of the church itself and into the community. As some historians and scholars have noted, in certain areas, especially in the South, it became hard to determine, hey, is this Baptist teaching or is this society political secular teaching? The two were so intermingled it became hard to tell. They were also very strong advocates for social reform as well as religious liberty. I mentioned earlier the tough encounters that they had had with the Puritans. This emboldened them all the more to press for religious liberty and also other social reforms as well, including temperance, the abstaining from alcohol. The teetotaler movement comes to mind. And also later on, they actually advocated for sustaining and advocating for women's rights as well. So, in conclusion, this is kind of a brief overall history of the Southern Baptist Church, how they came to be, and also some of the reform efforts that they're known for today. As always, if you have any questions on any of this, please feel free to shoot me a message in the Canvas or reply to this post. I really appreciate it. Have a great night, and God bless.